As a diplomatic ally of Taiwan, Swaziland once attracted considerable investment from Taiwanese businesses, especially those in the textile industry. At one point, after the U.S. gave Swazi goods preferential tariff treatment, the southern African nation became a base for many Taiwan-owned manufacturers. But just last year, those same Taiwanese businesses were broadsided by the U.S. announcement that it would cancel preferential duties on Swazi imports. Many shut their doors and withdrew their investments. But some stayed on and managed to adapt to the new circumstances. Our Sunday in-depth report.
On this Friday afternoon, a small market suddenly forms on a road near one of Swaziland's industrial parks. Sellers are expecting their customers to come from the large factory just across the street because today is payday. 2 weeks on the job earns these workers 1,000 Swazi emalangeni, the equivalent of about 2,200 NT dollars. It's considered a decent wage by those in the region. After collecting their wages, the workers head across the road, where business at the market is heating up. The salaries paid out by the factory help its workers make a living, but also give a boost to these small vendors who have prospered since the factory appeared. But the factory itself, the people who set it up came from a small, faraway country, Taiwan. Here, 2 different colors of yarn are woven together to create a fabric with a horizontal stripe pattern. This type of machinery may be fairly common in Taiwan, which has a relatively developed textile industry, but in southern Africa, it cannot be found.
There
are no other suppliers in the whole of South Africa that can make fabric like this, so it's one of our best-selling products in South Africa. This machine that makes it came from Taiwan.
This Taiwanese textile factory came to Swaziland in 2001. At that time, the United States had passed the African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA, as part of a bid to spur economic growth in sub-Saharan Africa.
The
countries covered under AGOA export about 6,400 types of products to the United States, and these products were all given duty-free exemptions. Because the costs of shipping products to the U.S. were low, they were competitive in the U.S. market.
Seeing a big commercial opportunity, many Taiwanese entrepreneurs began to pour money into businesses in Swaziland, with textile production the main focus. But the whole calculus changed in 2015 when the United States removed Swaziland from its list of AGOA countries.
Without the benefits from AGOA in the United States, the import duties paid on clothing from Swaziland rose from 15% to 32%. So clothing made here was no longer competitive in the U.S. market.
The U.S. cancellation of preferential tariffs sent the Swazi economy into a tailspin and forced many Taiwanese businesses operating in the country to reconsider their position and shutter their operations.
I still recall last year when discussions over AGOA were in progress, there was a period when they were discussing canceling the preferential tariffs. At that time, I ran to see the U.S. representative and talked to their people. When those talks eventually failed and the U.S. did in fact cancel tariff breaks on imports from Swaziland, the King of Swaziland summoned us and he asked me, "Will you withdraw your investment?"
Lin Ruei-yue at that point employed over 5,000 people in Swaziland, and his decision on whether to stick around or get out would inevitably have consequences for Swaziland's economic development.
Conditions in Swaziland society mean that one wage earner here is on average supporting 8 people, which is to say that, if we had left, it would have affected the livelihoods of around 40,000 people. Maybe it was because of emotional reasons, or because of the foundations we already had, but I had no reason to withdraw investment.
Having effectively lost access to the U.S. market, Lin Ruei-yue regrouped to focus on domestic demand. With growth ramping up across Africa, his top target became Swaziland's close neighbor, South Africa.
Our current approach is to work to expand the domestic market because when it comes to South Africa, our company has the most advantages.
Lin even continued to help raise relief aid for locals, part of his company's ongoing efforts over the past 10 years to address hunger and poverty in the region.
他们现在政府自己的统计，
According to their government's current statistics, of a national population of 1.2 million, around 300,000 don't have enough food. Of course, most of those living in such conditions are in more rural areas.
第一次救灾的时候，我去背东西的。
The first time we went to respond to a disaster, I was carrying stuff on my back while leading more than 100 volunteers to disperse aid. At that time, I felt really happy, but my employees were even happier because they had never imagined there would be a day when they themselves could lend aid to others.
Most of the textile companies who relocated from Taiwan to Swaziland were out mainly for profits. But the Taiwanese businesses which remain there have managed to develop a close relationship with the Swazi people, a relationship which helps sustain and promote the livelihoods of both parties.